Hi guys, today we're going to be learning about the steps to the order of operations. What the operations means is when you have something like add, subtract, multiply, divide going on in the same math problem, which ones do we need to do first? What is the order that we need to do these numbers in? Because it's not always left to right. When it comes to all these different operations that you have going on in one math problem, then there is a specific order or steps that you have to take. So for example here, let me show you real quick. We have, so the order of operations is, we refer to it as Pemdas to help you remember it, like an acronym, kind of like we did for our other steps of math that we do. We have Pemdas is the acronym, and it stands for parentheses. So if you see a set of parentheses in a math problem, no matter if it's on the left side or if it's on the right side or if it's in the middle, you need to do whatever's inside those parentheses first. And then if you see next, you would see, if you see any numbers that have exponents in the problem, you need to solve those next. Then you would need to do step 3 here would be step 3, and it looks like it's step 3 and 4, but it's actually multiplying and dividing are like on the same step. It's just these two can, whatever's first on the left side between these two, after you've done these, the parentheses and exponents, before you can add or subtract, you have to do the multiplying or dividing first, whichever one comes on the left hand side for that of the problem. Okay, and then the last step, step 4, would be adding or subtracting whatever comes first on the left side for those. So you have to do all of these before you can do adding or subtracting in a math problem. So a silly little way we have to help you remember PEMDAS, or the steps to the order of operations, is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, and some kids like to say, because she farted. Whatever it takes for you to remember the steps. Okay, so your second slide here shows you examples. So this is just an example page, okay? Your actual math assignment is on the third slide. So your example page conveniently has all the first step highlighted in red for you. Your math page will not. You need to follow the steps of PEMDAS. Okay, so PEMDAS says parentheses. So we're going to start with this one here, this example. Parentheses. So this is our problem. We have 10 minus 3 to the power of 3 divided by 9. Now, can I just go from left to right and say 10 minus 3 to the power of 3? No, I cannot. Why? Because I have certain order that these operations need to be performed first. So you do one operation at a time, and then you bring everything else down, and then you do the next step. So is there any parentheses in this problem? No, there's not. Okay, what about exponents? Is there any exponents in here? If you said yes, you are correct. There it is, highlighted in red. That little has a base number, and then it has a little exponent up here, and that is your exponent. So we're going to do that one first. What is 3 to the power of 3? If you said 27, you are right, because 3 times 3 is 9, and then another time times 3, so 9 times 3 is 27. So what that looks like is this. So you would simply do the 27, write it down, and bring everything else down with it. So now you have 2 operations left. You have subtract or divide. Which one am I going to do next? If you said divide, you are right. It tells us right here, divide or multiply has to come before add or subtract. So you have to divide. So 27 divided by 9 is what? Well, you can skip count by 9s and figure out that it is 3. So you write your 3, and then you bring your next thing down. Now you simply have one operation left. You have a subtracting here. So we have 10 minus 3, and we all should know that 10 minus 3 is 7. So your final answer to that would be 7. Now imagine if you tried to do this this problem without following the specific order. You would be in the negative numbers. It would be a crazy decimal negative number mess. 10 minus 27 would be negative 20 or negative 17, or and then divided by 9, you'd be left in some negative decimal world of mess, and that would be completely wrong. There are very specific steps to following when you're dealing with multiple operations. So you had one operation here of subtracting, you had another of exponents, you had another of dividing. So those are not in the right order. So you had to do the PEMDAS and then follow the correct order. Okay, so we're done with that one. I'm just going to cover him up. Okay, now we have our next problem that we're going to look at. And here, how many operations do we have? We have multiplying, we have subtracting, and we have an exponent. So which one do we do first? Multiply, subtract, or exponent? If you said exponent, you're right. Well, obviously it's highlighted in red, and I already told you that, right? So it is 2 to the power of 2. Okay, that's like saying 2 times 2. That's 4. Okay, now here it was not 3 times 3. It was 3 times 3 times 3. Remember, the exponent says however you are multiplying itself by itself that many times. So in this case, it happens to be 2 to the power of 2 is equal to 4. So we just have our 4. Okay, and now we need to do the next one. So we're still left with multiplying or subtracting. Which one do we do first, guys? Right, step 3 is multiplying. So we're going to multiply. 7 times 5 is 35. 35 minus 4, is that my last operation? Yep, 35 minus 4, and you should know your answer is 31. So these are examples for you. Now, our next one here, I'm going to have you guys try and do this one, and just like I would in class. So I'm going to cover that guy up. Okay, so we have 3 times 6 plus 8 to the power of 2. Is this in the right order? Which one comes first? Go ahead and try and solve that. Okay, so if you had 8 to the power of 2 was the first one, you're correct. So that would have been 64. And then you bring down your 3 times 6 plus 64. Now, which one comes next in our order here? Multiplying or adding? Well, adding or subtracting always comes the last part, guys, unless it's like inside of a parenthesis. Okay, so let's do this. So we have 3 times 6 is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 8's 18. So 18 plus 64 is, dun, 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 dun. Let's see if this will move. And you have your final answer would have been 82. So now let's come on over here and let's deal with this one with the parentheses. Okay, so looking at our PEMDAS here, what do we have? We have an exponent, we have a division, we have an adding, and a parentheses. What in the world am I supposed to do? You said adding goes last, Miss Cortez. I did. Unless it's inside the parentheses. Whatever is inside the parentheses has to be performed in the same order, though, in the parentheses. So, in this case, we're just going to do 4 plus 3. Well, hopefully you know what 4 plus 3 is. Why can I do that again? Because it's inside the parentheses. So 4 plus 3 is 7. Okay, so now, well, I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. So 7, we would be left with 7 to the power of 2, which is the same thing as saying 7 times 7, not 7 times 2. 7 times 7 is 49, right? Okay, so I would have 7 to the power of 2 divided by 7. What am I going to do first? Divide by 7 or do my exponent? If you said exponent, you are correct. You need to do your exponent next. Okay, so you see how they brought down the 7. Now you see you have to do your exponents before you do division. And so you'd have 49 now divided by 7. You're left with one operation left, division. And division is basic, right? It's backwards multiplication. So you just have a 7 left over there as your final answer. You see how the steps are so important. Okay, what about this one, guys? We have parentheses with addition and exponent in it, and then we have multiply over here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 things, 4 operations going on. Okay, so we're going to do which first? The multiplying? We're going to do the parentheses first. So, but what about that? Inside the parentheses we have a plus sign and we have an exponent. Well, exponents comes before the multiplying, right? Exponents comes before multiplying. Before adding. Adding always comes last there. So we're going to go 2 to the power of 2 we know is 4. So now we have 6 plus 4. We have to do this next before the multiplying. Why? Because it's in the parentheses, right? So 6 plus 4 is 10, right? And now we're just left with 10 times 10. Oh, wait, 6 plus 4, and that is 10. And then we have 10 times 10, which we should know is 100. Okay, so now we have the last one. And let's see, what is it? I'm going to be really quiet here and let you guys try and figure this all out. We have an exponent, a subtracting, and division. Go. Check your work. Did you get it right? Oh, I forgot to tell you to pause. Go ahead and pause if you didn't already. Okay, we're just going to check it. So we would do the exponents first. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is what? It tells you 64. So now we do 64 and we bring all the other operations and their numbers down. So now we'd have 64 minus 10 divided by 5. Do I just go 64 minus 10? Which would be 54 divided by 5. No, I don't do it that way. Have to follow the steps. Multiplying or dividing comes before subtracting. So I know it's over here, but that's the order that the steps need to be done first. So you have to divide. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now you bring their 64 down. 64 divided by 2 is, subtracted by 2. Subtract 2 is 62. Okay, so that is how you do the order of operations. Now, if you look at your homework for today, now this one is supposed to be a plus sign. Okay, so this is really a plus sign in here. So really on this one you have a plus, you have an exponent, you have a division. You have your little Pemdas steps over here if you need to refer back to your examples, or if you need to refer back over here to your order of operations, you can do that. So that's what it's there for. And so, just follow these steps, guys. Follow the steps. So, for example, on this one, you would do your exponents first. Again, 3 to the power of 3 is 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3, which is 27. Then you'd have 27 divided by 9, which would be 3. And then you'd bring it all down, 10 plus 3, and you'd figure that out, okay? So you can write down your steps right in here. First thing you would do is bring it down. So you'd have 10 plus 27, and then I'm just going to put divided by 9. That little slash is kind of like a fraction bar, but it's also like a dividing bar. So plus or dividing, what do? We divide next. Okay, so you divide next. So you have 10. And then plus whatever 27 divided by 9 is, 3. Okay, and then your final answer right there. And that's it. That's all you need to do on here, okay? Just follow the order of the steps, whatever's in the parentheses. Now, if you have something like this, oh, I need to explain that. Uh-oh. What happens if the little power is outside of the parentheses, Miss Cortez? What are you doing to me? You need to solve whatever's in here first. Okay, you would have 8 minus 6. Boom. Okay, now 2 to the power of 2. So you would have like 2 to the power of 2, which I have no easy way to show you this other than just 2 to the power of 2 And then you'd have times, oops, I'm still on the tiny number. Then you would have times, times what? Times 7. Times 7 equals what? So now you have an exponent and a multiplying. You see what I did there? Whatever you do your parentheses first, and then you write your answer, and then you square it. Because this is saying whatever's in here, you're going to multiply it by itself. Okay, so you have 2 times 2 now. All right, so you have an exponent and a multiplying. What comes first, exponent or multiplying? Your exponent. So you got to find out what your exponent is. 2 to the power of 2, write it down. And then whatever that is, you multiply by 7, and you have your final answer. Okay, that's it. I hope you learned a lot on PEMDAS, or order of operations.